Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm excited because I finally got my hands on the Croix Physys rod. I got these on loan from a friend, so I just want to give you a quick first impressions, and then I'm going to do something very interesting. I'm going to compare this Physys with a Legend tournament rod that I have been reviewing for the last 6 or 8 months, okay? And the reason I think I can compare them, and we'll compare them apples to apples, if you will, is because the Physys and the St. Croix Legend tournament uses the same exact blank. They use their SC4 plus blanks, which is, their concept of how they can take standard carbon, mix it with higher grade carbon, and in some cases applying their IAC technology, mixing it with glass. And what I mean by mix and layering it, they layer it to produce some fiberglass and carbon hybrid rods, which I love and use all the time. So anyway, let's get started here on the Physys bait casting rod. The big difference in the Physys is really the handle. The handle's what's different. And in some quarters, especially, I watched a review from the Hookup Tackle here in Arizona. They did not like these handles. So I was very curious to understand what I might think of them compared to what they thought of them. And I finally get to do that. So let's give it a shot. Now, when I grab and put this rod in my hand, the way I'm going to hold it, this is their bait casting rod. Right away, I can feel that the Trigon design fits my hand very nicely. I have a big hand, and so that's not surprising, frankly, okay? And it doesn't feel that different really from the Legend tournament, which, let me get that real quick here, right here. This happens to be the exact same rod, model, length, and weight, power, and action. So when I put this in my hand too, it feels very similar, but I actually do like this handle a little bit better, slightly better. Now, that's just holding it and that's just gripping onto it, okay? The controversy that is, I think, with the hookup tackle got started in my mind when I watched the review, a small review or introduction of the Physys rod from the hookup tackle here in Arizona. Now, I take what those guys say because they've been doing this so long and they've seen a lot of different rods where I haven't, and so they're not really fond of this handle design at all, okay? They say it's big, and they don't like necessarily some of the ridges, might have caused blistering. So I don't know about that. I can't tell yet. I'm going to give this rod some usage before I go there. But one thing I needed to note is that for, I don't know, 15, 20 years, I used a rod with a straight cork handle, not the split design. And so when I first bought my first Legend tournament, split design, and put it in my hand, it felt really strange. It took me a number of outings before I got familiar, frankly, with how this handle fits in my hand. This particular rod, if you notice, is a complete carbon handle, which I didn't mention. So this is a complete molded carbon handle. It has a front part here that you lock down, and this part all here is all one carbon. The theory is that this gives you more sensitivity. If somebody who's using a rod are used to a certain style, let's say less skinnier or less handle size, I can imagine if you put that in your hand, that might actually feel weird and you might not like it. We all get used to what we like and don't like, and while I totally respect everybody at the hookup tackle, people have different needs. Now, I have big hands, and I think this particular one, while holding this rod, felt really good to me, okay? Now, I'm going to go a little more in depth this rod here, and I'm going to compare it to the Legend tournament. But before I do that, I want to talk about the spinning rod. Again, my first impressions of putting this in my hand is, okay, the way I will hold it is like, okay, Trigon, I don't know what's going on here. That doesn't seem to help me. If I grab the handle up front here, as you can see where I'm doing it, now I get the Trigon experience. But frankly, that's not how I hold on to my rod, my spinning rod. I'm not going to hold it that way. So I don't know what to make of that. Now, the only thing I can hope is when I put a reel on here, and I'm going to do it right now. First time I've put a reel on this rod and just try it. This is a Shimano Sahara, kind of a very slow speed reel that I use for certain techniques. So what I'm trying to understand while I do this is this Trigon experience that they're trying to produce. Yes, if it's up here, I got it, I can feel it, but if I just hold it the way I normally want to hold it, do I feel that experience there? And what I can say is that I'm not sure, okay? I'm not sure I'm getting that experience. This is definitely an experience. So if you're a person who likes to hold spinning reel way up front, this might be for you, okay? I'm not sure this is much of a difference. That's just my opinion right now. As a matter of fact, you know, I feel all the edges and ridges and stuff on my hand. So whereas if I go up here, I feel none of that. You know, am I gonna change my reel grip, my spinning reel grip for a new line of rods? I don't know about that. That's gonna be, I just don't know. I don't think I'm going to do that because I haven't done it in, you know, 35 years. Why would I do it now? This is my spinnerbait rod. This is a 7'1" medium heavy fast action. The same rod as this, which I'm going to compare here in a few seconds. I want to get casting this rod. I want to know if I develop a blister. Seriously, that's a, you know, that was a concern that was raised, and I think it's important. And it was talking about these little ridges back here, okay? These ridges back here, and are there ridges on this one? Yeah, there's some ridges here where my thumb might go. So there, you know, some ridges underneath here, okay? Now, is that going to cause blistering? Well, the only way to know is you really got to get in there and use it. Okay, so now let's talk about these two rods. The one I'm used to here, the Legend Tournament. This happens, they give the Legend Tournament names, okay? This is the all-in, it's 7'1", medium heavy fast action. So the difference between these two rods is two major things: the handle, the grip, and the guides. Now the guides are, I'm going to get this right, on the Physys, it's, okay, I need my glasses on here. So the guides on this rod are silicon carbon guides with titanium frames. So you probably can't see them very well, but these are silicon carbon, which is a harder material but more brittle, and these are titanium. Now titanium should be super light, okay? That should help lighten up this rod, okay? Compared to the Legend Tournament uses Fuji K-series Alkalite guides, okay? I'm assuming these are slightly heavier. I'm not going to get them out and take them and weigh them, but that's just my guess. Anyway, so I just want to make a note about guides. I trust that a rod company with the quality and experience of St. Croix will put decent rod guides on the rod. Now, I know their rod guides have different price points, and therefore lower price point rods, by definition, have lower price point guides, meaning they're probably not as high quality. Again, I trust that St. Croix will put good rod guides on a $450 rod. And I say the same thing for G. Loomis, Megabass. Look, they're all going to put quality guides on. They're going to put guides on for price points and weight. And generally, the higher cost a rod is, the higher the price point because of the materials and components. Anyway, let's get back to the differences. Now, the major difference then, frankly, in this rod are the handles, right? So, traditional handle and the new complete carbon molded handles. Why go to one over the other? Well, let's check a few things, okay? First thing I'm going to check is the weight of this rod, the new Physys rod, okay? Down here. Okay, that's a fair. Okay, this 7'1" medium heavy fast action rod weighs 5.47 ounces, okay? Let's set that one aside. The Legend Tournament, exactly the same rod blank. What I mean by that is that it uses the SC4 Plus rod material. Okay, let's see what this guy weighs. Sorry. 4.23. Okay, so Legend Tournament is lighter. Again, this one, 4.23 versus 5.47. It's an ounce and a quarter heavier about, okay? So that's interesting. Well, St. Croix makes a rod that is more expensive. Yes, it has probably more expensive guides, but it weighs more? This seems strange to me, frankly. But where's the weight? I imagine the weight is all in the handle. I imagine this handle weighs more than this handle. So one of the things I want to try out here is where's the balance point of this rod as is if you pulled it off the rack. So we can do some things here and try to check for it. Okay. Right there. Okay. Now, again, these rods are the same exact length. Okay. And so if we look at just from the end, you can see the distance. Maybe that's 2.5 inches. It'll balance 2.5 inches above the real nut. Or a better way to put it is, where's it? Anyway, it's just, here's where it balances, okay? Now, let's take a Legend Tournament and balance that. If I put it in the same spot, no. So if I got to put it way out here. Ooh, look at this. I'm putting it way out. Okay. See that? Look, I'm still going out. There. Okay, so there's two different balance points, rod off the rack. Well, why do you think that is? Well, that's because this handle is heavier. Now, what does that do? When I have a rod that balances this far forward, it probably is going to feel like it's a little heavy in the tip, okay? And that matters too. So the way the rod matters, but also how it feels in your hand. And when I do compare it to this one, yes, this rod feels like it has a lighter tip. Okay, heavier rod by 1.25 ounces, but it feels like it has a lighter tip. So that's interesting. So that matters to many, many people. And it's very interesting how that one feels different. So let's go ahead. Right now I'm going to put on the Shimano 200. Corrado 200, the Shimano Corrado 200. This is what I use for spinnerbaiting. I like it because it's a 5:0 ratio. I might be off on that, but I like a slow roll when I spinnerbait. So let's put this on, tighten it down pretty snug. Let's get the balance point again, okay? So now the balance point with this reel is right about there, okay? Now, when I hold this reel, I would say that's 2.5 inches in front of my front finger, okay? Again, I like how this rod works. I like this nut, my reel nut, and where my finger sits here. Feels really nice to me, okay? Now, let's take this off. Now, I can tell you one thing. I'm not sure. I like the Legend Tournament reel nut better, by the way. It's just, I don't know, it seems better. But here we are, so I have the same thing. Let's see where this guy goes now. Okay, look at that. This particular rod is basically balancing, okay, right where I like to hold it, maybe just an inch above where I hold it. So that means that this rod feels lighter in the tip, okay? That's kind of neat. That's not a horrible thing, okay? It's surprising to me how this one feels lighter in the tip, yet it weighs, the whole thing weighs 1.25 ounces more, but it's all about balance, and it's about how it fits and feels in your hand, okay? So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take this rod out, I'm gonna throw some spinnerbaits with it, or maybe put on a buzzbait for this time of the year, and just see how it feels, and cycle it a bunch of times, and see how I like it. Does it develop me any blisters? We'll see. One last thing, okay, that is interesting to everybody. For years and years, I never wore gloves, okay? Now, if you watch my videos, you'll see me wearing the gloves. They're blue and they're purple and everything's sort of matching my boat colors. Very clever that way, I guess. But anyway, now I'm wearing gloves. And so if my gloves are gonna cover all from my knuckles up, these knuckles up, so I might not even care because I'm wearing a glove. And there's one more thing that's very interesting just to discuss. Once I put my gloves on, I don't have a rod here, but the Legend Tournament spinning rod, it has the reel nut is in the back here, okay? But it's really long, and it's kind of cool, okay? And when I do grasp it with my hand, it feels very good, okay? But what's weird is because of my gloves, it's slippery now, and it feels like I don't have a solid grip on the rod. So what will it feel like if I go ahead and put my glove on and then use this particular rod, get a sensation? We'll see how this all plays out, okay? So there you have it. I think this is interesting. I've just noticed something that I'm not sure I really dig, and that is, see how this nut is exposed. Yeah, right here. Aren't these things designed to cover that up? In other words, you would think that when I tighten it down, if I had it tight, that it would be more like this, right? Where it wouldn't be showing that. And I don't know if that's a deal. I don't know what other rods do, but that suddenly I've just noticed that. First time I put a reel on and I noticed that, like, why have all this fancy nut work? Why have all this fancy stuff and then you're exposing part of the reel seat? I don't get it, actually. Weird to me. So those are my initial impressions. Now the next step is I got to get it out on the water and try it. I'll be throwing some spinner baits, maybe some buzz baits, because that's a more timely thing to do. And on this rod, it's a 7'1". It's a medium with a fast action. I don't know if I would buy this action of the rod, but it's what I got, so I'm going to probably do some free rigging or something with it like that. Maybe see if I can throw some weighted Syncos. I love throwing weighted Syncos, so this might be interesting to throw weighted Syncos on. So I'll give that a shot. And so I'll get it out on the water and I'll give it a try, and I'll get some water time, and then I'll follow up. You'll see some clips of me using it, and then I'm going to follow up with some impressions after using it, and then I'll have this video concluded. So let me talk about this rod I've been using for a few minutes. It's the Physys 7'1", medium heavy fast, which I love throwing spinner baits. It's my spinnerbait rod in the Tournament Legend series. And so right now I'm throwing a 3/4 ounce spinnerbait, trying to see if I can't pull something off the top of these mounds. I don't think I'm going to get bit on the spinnerbait, but I wanted to throw the spinnerbait on this rod. One of the interesting things, because of the handle, like I mentioned, is probably adding weight to the rod. It makes this rod feel really light in the tip. So I think that's kind of nice. I'm liking the better balance on this rod than the 7'1" medium heavy fast Tournament Legend. The handle here is not bothering me at all so far. I haven't cast with it all day, long as it's not bothering me. But one thing I'm not really sure about, and it's bugging me right now, is this thing. When I make a cast and I go to grab right there, see how I'm grabbing? Well, sometimes I grab it, if you can see, I grab it right there on my finger, okay? Well, that pokes you, okay? And that's kind of bothersome, so I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure about this trigger thing. Now, once I make a few casts and no matter where I grab, I feel like I'm poking my finger, okay? So I don't know the best way to grab this. Now, if that's something that I have to learn, if I would buy this rod, so be it, but I'm telling you, I'm not liking this, okay, at the moment. Now, I'm going to keep casting, and I'm going to come back, and I'm going to talk about it, because I did notice as I cast a little more, I figure out where to grab the handle. But is that really something you should really do, is figure out where, your muscle memory, that you have to grab it so it doesn't poke you? Not digging that. This rod without the trigger back here would be pretty sweet, given the balance. And even though it weighs a little more on the scale, it doesn't feel like it weighs more because it's changed the balance of the rod. Anyway, I'm not happy about this, but I'm going to keep trying to see how far I can get with it. nice fish. Free rig on the Physys 7.1 medium action with fast tip. Hooked really well on this mustad hook. Yeah, I'm liking these mustad hooks a lot. Oh boy, it's good. So this Physys spinning reel with its Trigon handle, I have the same feeling. I believe the rod is balanced better. 7'1", and definitely the tip is not heavy feeling. It's probably because there's weight pulled back here because of the handle. I am gripping it either, you know, this way or this way. I tend to grip it with 3 fingers, okay? And you know, I'm catching myself doing this now and again, and it feels nice when I do that. Generally, I'm going to do it like this, but I move it around as I'm noticing. But I'm still not sure about this bump. Again, when I grab it, and it, you know, it's my finger is getting, you know, touching it, and it's like stuck right on. You probably can't see that. I'll touch here. Of course, it could slip there, but I don't know. I'm not sure about that knob at the back at all. Okay, now for a few final thoughts. So I took them out fishing. I didn't use them very long. I did catch a decent keeper bass on the spinning rod, and I was throwing the baitcaster for about 25 minutes with a 3/4 ounce spinnerbait. And I talked to you about this back trigger guard situation. I'm not going to talk more about that, but I did want to make one more note, something that I thought about and noticed after I fished for it with a while but didn't bring it up. And I got home and I actually took it out to the pool, and I noticed the same thing. For some reason, throwing that 3/4 ounce spinnerbait on this rod felt like when I was making the cast, it was easier, like it handled that spinnerbait better than my Legend tournament of the same model in the Legend tournament, the 7.1 medium heavy fast. I mean, it's hard to explain it, but it felt like it was casting it easier. I don't know why that might be in this case. I believe the rod blanks are exactly the same, so that shouldn't matter. Is it the handle? Is actually this hand, do I have a better grip on this because of this design of this handle? So if I have a better grip, that means I can cast it easier, maybe. Or is it the balance? This rod is balanced better, if you will, balanced closer to the reel. My thumb here in the reel seat, when I get a reel on it, is that it? Does that make it better? I'm not sure. So, but I did notice that and I wanted to share. So I believe that in the final analysis, I think this rod butt finger trigger, okay, is something that you have to get used to. You got to get the muscle memory to know where to grab it. Keep that in mind. I do think I like the handle. I can grip it. I got a big hand, so I've noted that. And just talking with other people, a lot of people like to touch the rod blank with their finger. That is not a concern for me, nor is it on the spinning rod here, right? So I don't know what to tell you. That doesn't matter to me. So I think these rods with this handle might work fine for me. The real tell is going to be if I get a rod that's a bit longer, like a 7.3 or 7.4. The ultimate test, by the way, is going to be this rod in the 7.6 flipping, or if they ever make a power flipping, that's 7.11. Can this handle down here help you grasp that big rod better? Does it help move the balance back from super tip heavy on those rods because they're just so long to something that's less tip heavy? I don't know. Anyway, that's where I stand. Would I buy this rod? I might. Okay, I might go ahead and buy one or two and see how they work, buy them in a model or an action I don't have and give them a try. So I think that's next on the list, and if that works out, I'll let you know. Anyway, thanks for watching this video on the Physys rod and specifically the handle. Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. I appreciate it. Thank you for watching my videos and hope to see you soon. Have a great day.